Hello, Year 11. We're going to talk you through paper 1. Hope you like the yellow and white dot background I've got here. Try and mix it up. Might be the only fun bit of these videos. So let's get going. Question 1. Pont y Ddraig, Dragon's Bridge, opened in Rhyl Harbour in autumn 2013. The harbour cost 9.8 million, of which 4.3 million was spent on Pont y Ddraig. How much was spent on the rest of the harbour? Okay, so we've got to work out, once we take that away from that, how much is left. So what could go wrong? Well, we need to know, I'll put this in red actually, so these are my notes. 9 million would have 6 zeros. Okay, and 4 million would also have 6 zeros. Therefore, 9.8 million. Basically, we swap that that first zero for an 8, and 4.3 million. We're swapping that first zero there for a 3. Okay, written my two numbers here, taking them away, and I'm left with 5.5 million, which is 5,500,000. This one. All right, must remember for this mock and going forward for the November exam that 5 miles is 8 kilometers. Just get that in your head. Every 5 miles is 8 kilometers. 10 miles would be twice as far, 15 miles would be 3 times as far, and so on. So I've written that, and this question asks me to change 15 miles into kilometers. So if 5 miles is 8 kilometers, 15 miles, which is 3 lots of 5, well, if I times that by 3, I'm timesing that by 3, so 15 miles is 24 kilometers. For example, 20 miles would be 32 kilometers, and you just keep going up. Okay, question 2. Hope you can see these. Hopefully they're zoomed in enough for you. You shouldn't be distracted this afternoon. My kids are out, my wife is out, so yeah, fingers crossed we get a clear run at this one. Students are taking tests in Welsh and English. There are loads of ways to do this. The English test is out of 80, the Welsh test is out of 70, and our first gentleman scores 35 in his English test, so that's 35 out of 80. Now, one way would be to write that as a fraction and try and turn that into a percentage. What I've done is said, well, if it's out of 80, if our man got 10% in the exam, he would have scored 8. 10% of 80. If my man had got 20%, he would have scored 16. 30%, 24. 40%, 32. I'm just adding 8 on each time. But he actually got 35, which is a little bit more than 32. Well, if 32 was 40% and he's got 35, a little bit more than 40% is what he got, which is why I've done that. Gone for 44%, and the same down here. Our second person, Liam, scored 22 out of 70. Again, you could write that and try and kind of change it into a percentage, but what I've done is said, well, if he'd scored 10% in this exam, this one, it would have been 7, 20% 14, 30% 21. Our man actually got 22, which is 1 more than that, so a little bit more than 30% maybe he got, and I'm looking along and I see 31%. So that's the kind of way I'm doing that. Question 3. A formula question, using a formula. I think you can see all of that. A builder uses the following formula. Total cost is £15 times the number of hours worked. So if he works 1 hour, it would be £15 times 1, 2 hours, £15 times 2, etc, etc. But then he's got to add on the cost of materials. Okay, calculate the total cost when he worked for 7.5 hours, and the cost of materials was £107.50. So I've copied this, and instead of number of hours worked, I've changed it to 7.5, 15 times 7.5, and add on, and I know the cost of materials is £107.50. This is the hard bit. This is the bit I've got to do first, this times. The way I've chosen to do it is to do 15 times 7. Alright, which is 105. You might need to do a little bit of work to show that, okay? But then I've got to do times 7.5. So I've also got to do 15 times the half, or half of 15, which is £7.50. Add those together, £112.50, and I've moved that up there, and then added on my cost of materials onto that, and I get £220. Then the part B is going to ask you to do the complete opposite. It's going to give you what the cost is, and possibly tell you the cost of materials, but leave a gap for the number of hours, which you've got to kind of fill in to make this sum work. 183 is 15 times something, add 108. So I just need to know, is that 15 times 1 out of 108, 15 times 2? How many hours did this person work, this builder work, to make this the total cost 183? The way I've chosen to do it, well, if I'm adding 108, I know that this bit, add 108, need to make 183. So I've taken the 108 off the 183, which is 75. So this bit needs to be 75. 75 add 108 is this. 15 times what gives me 75, and I've just in my head done the 15 times table, 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. So it would be 15 times 5. You're filling in the blank. Alright. Question 4. Hopefully so far we're alright. Let's bring that into view. Okay, I'm going to actually fill this one in, so let's do it. A total of 45 councillors make up the committees, planning, finance and education. Some of the councillors sit on 2 of the committees. No councillor sits on all 3 committees. There is nobody, 0, right, on all 3 committees. Now, what a few of you did in your exam is left that blank. But if there are no people in a section, be that there, or there, you've got to put a 0 in. Okay, so no councillors sit on all 3 committees, so there's nobody in the centre there. Next, 2 councillors sit on both the planning committee and the education. So there are 2 sitting on planning and education, which is there. There are 18 councillors on the education committee. There are 18 councillors on this committee. However, we can't put 18 straight in there. Don't make that mistake. They are on the education committee, but so are they. And so are they, although there's nobody there. And so are they. So there are 12 that we already know are on education. Well, if there are 18 in total, I take that 12 away from 18. So there are 6 who are on only education. But I've still got 1 gap. Okay. Also, I suppose that we should have a number outside. We are told that all of them sit on at least 1 committee, so I could put a 0 outside. I don't think that's in the mark scheme, but it would be nice to put it there. How do I fill this in? Nothing to tell me here, so back to the beginning. Okay, I know there are 45 councillors altogether, so let's add these up, and we know that whatever that is, they've got to add up to 45. So we've got 18, 28, 30, 36, 9 there. And a pop is normally quite simple. Maybe a little probability or fraction question, they mean the same thing. What fraction of the councillors? The word could be probability. What probability? What is the probability of picking a councillor who is on both? It's the same question. Both are looking for a fractional answer. What is the probability, or what fraction of the councillors sit on both the planning and finance? Planning and they've got to sit on both. Planning and finance. I'm looking at those 6 there. 6, but a fraction needs to have a bottom number as well. 6 out of, well, we're told there that there are 45. So 6 out of 45 is the fraction that sit on planning and finance. Okay, question 5. Alright, just a quick one on what this, what these mean, these frequency diagrams. Well, first of all, what we're talking about is helplines dealing with customer problems, and we got 2 companies. Okay. Basically, if we just look at this one, this is the time in minutes to answer a call or deal with a complaint or something. Okay, and that's how many. So what we know is between 0 and 4 minutes, there were 2 problems dealt with. Between 4 and 8 minutes, there were 16 problems dealt with. Between 8 and 12 minutes, there were 6 problems dealt with, and so on. So the bar tells you between these times how many problems were dealt with. Okay, so my first question says, how many calls to Computertronics, this company, lasted between 4 and 12? Unfortunately, between 4 and 12 is all of this. So what we've got to do is break it up and say, okay, between 4 and 8, there were 16 calls, and between 8 and 12, there were another 6 calls. So in total, between 4 and 12, there were 22 calls. And then I hate this type of question, but where it says, you know, which company should win an award, give a reason, these kind of little add-on questions almost. But what I've written in red where are the groups with a higher frequency, taller bars? So looking at this, and I need to bring this back in slightly into view. Looking at this company, my tallest bars are, well, my tallest bar is here, okay, between 4 and 8 minutes. Whereas over here, my tallest bar is between 12 and 16 minutes, which is a longer time. It's a bigger time, 12 to 16 than 4 to 8 is. It would suggest that there are a lot of people between 4 and 8 here, but most of my people, or a lot of my people here, are between 12 and 16. So the answer I've gone for is this. Computertronics has more people in the groups with lower times. And what I've actually done is I've looked at the first 2 bars. So 0 to 8, which is 0 to 4 and 4 to 8. So this company had 2 plus 16, that's 18 calls from 0 to 8. Whereas this company, Tech Solutions, had 3 plus 3, which is 6 calls from 0 to 8. So a heck of a lot more calls were answered by the first company between 0 and 8 minutes, which is faster times. So they are performing the best. Yeah, they're getting those calls answered earlier rather than later. Okay? Let's move on. Unfortunately, these videos are going to be in 2 parts, people, so let's see how far we can get with this first part. We can possibly go up to about 20 minutes on this one, and then you'll have to kind of keep going on part 2 with the B grade stuff. Okay, Marcus is a farmer. He has his own conversion graph to change between acres and square yards. Well, we know what we're doing here, so we might as well get into this, all right? And my first question says 3 acres is equal to something yards. So I'm changing 3 acres into yards. Where's 3 acres? There it is. Up. Unfortunately, and a bit weirdly, they've stopped the line there. But you can continue that trend. You can see what the trend is, what the conversion is. So you can keep that line going up to there in order to take, and I want to see these workings. Okay, I need that line continued and I need these lines shown up and across. But yet again, they've hit us with a blank there. Okay, but what are we going up in? 2, 4, 20, add another 2, 4, 20, add another 2, 4, 20, add another 2, and so on. So this one would be that, add another 2,420, which is what I've done there, and got the answer 14,520. Little bit harder. They now want us to change not 5.5 acres into square yards, but my graph only goes up to 3. So what I thought, and there are other ways to do this, is I'm going to find what 5.5 acres are by first of all finding what 3 acres is, which I've already done here. But then I'm going to go between 2 and 3 to 2.5 and find out what 2.5 acres is. And again, if you can see that, it is 12,100. So 3 acres is 14,520. 2.5 acres is 12,100. And if I add together 3 acres and 2.5 acres, I get the 5.5 I need. But there they are in square yards. So my answer to that was 26,620. Question 7. We changed the numbers for you on this one in the mock, and I'm hoping these are the changed numbers. If they're not, listen to the process and don't worry too much about the answer, comparing your answers. I think they are though, okay? What we've got is Miss Price, who's had a bill for her water of £52.40. Okay, this isn't a proper utility bill question because we're not having to work out how many units we used and service charges, blah, blah, blah. All we've got here is, this is what she was charged, and we're checking that bill. She used 20 metres cubed of fresh water and 22 metres cubed of wastewater. And then there's the cost for 1 metre cubed of fresh water and 1 metre cubed of wastewater. So we had 20 of those units and 22 of those units, which is what I'm working out here. Now the maths without a calculator. If I'm doing 20 times that times £1.20, the way I've done it, I've done 10 times it, which is £12, just moving the decimal point from £1.20 to make it £12. Therefore 20 times it would be double that, which is £24. Similar sort of thing here, but now I want to do 22 times £1.50. What I've done, but there are other ways, and I've seen you use other ways, a lot of you. I've started with 10 again. 10 lots of £1.50 is 15. Another 10 lots of £1.50 is another 15. That's 20 lots, but I need 22 lots, so another 2 lots of £1.50 is £3. And I added these up, 15 add 15 add 3, £33. So by my reckoning, Miss Price should have been charged £24 add £33, which is £57, but she was charged £52.40, so that she's been undercharged. That is less than what she should have paid, 57. She hasn't paid enough, so I've put she was undercharged by £4.60 and worked that out by doing the 57 that it should have been, take away the £52.40 that she had paid. Again, practice that takeaway if you need to. Hopefully we've got time for one more question in here now after this one. And, well, it says remember. I didn't know this, so how are you meant to remember it? But knowing, I would say that 1 metre cubed is 220 gallons. How much fresh water, don't miss that, how much fresh water did Miss Price use in gallons? Well, Miss Price used 20 metres cubed of fresh water. It says that in the above question. And if every 1 metre cubed is 220 gallons, 20 of them, 20 metres cubed, would be 20 lots of 220, which is 4,400. And my little side workings here is just me doing 2 times 22, which is 44. And then I've put my zeros on the end to get my final answer. Last question, I think, on this video. Right, this one changed, and I can't remember what the numbers changed to. I've got a funny feeling we changed 2.5 kilograms to 3 kilograms in the exam. I haven't got a copy of your original exam here to check that, but I'm going to go with all the figures I've got here, but I'm going to go with 3 kilograms here. Again, the numbers might be wrong for you, but the idea, the process is what I care about. Okay, Susan bought 4.5 kilograms of potatoes and 3 kilograms, we'll say, of carrots, and this was the cost. The potatoes cost her £1.04 per kilogram, per 1 kilogram. But she's bought 4.5 kilograms. So what I've done first of all is said, okay, well, 1 kilogram costs £1.04, and the second kilogram she bought also cost that, as did the third, as did the fourth. But she then bought another half a kilogram, which cost half as much, 52p. And the first thing I've done is add up the cost then of these 4.5 kilograms of potatoes, and it comes to £4.68. But Susan actually paid £6.33. So if I take that away from that, which is what I'm doing here, I'm left with £1.65. Well, that £1.65 must be the cost of the carrots. Now that, I'd like to have thought that would be the end of the question, but what they intend to do is say, okay, find the price per kilogram of the carrots. Well, what that is the cost of 3 kilograms of carrots. To get 1 kilogram of carrots, I need to divide that by 3, which I'm doing here, and getting the answer 0.55, which I can write as 0.55 pounds, or they'd accept 55p. One or the other, though. Please don't do this. 0.55 pence. Okay, can't have pound. You're either in pounds or you are in pence. This was a bit naughty, I thought. I'll actually read it to make sense of it to myself. In the shop where Susan bought the vegetables, broccoli was £1.10 per kilogram. Swede was 120% of the cost of the broccoli. So basically, I got to work at the cost of the Swede. It's 120% of that, which is the full amount, 100%, and 20% more. It's not a reverse percentage. It's not saying, oh, the price is now this. It's not one of those. They're going to come a lot later. This is, take that, which is, think of that as 100%. Swede is 100%, so need to increase this by 20%. So literally what we're asking you to do here is find 10% of that, move the decimal point, it's 0.11, and another 10%. So in total, 20% is 22p. That's 100%. That's 20%. Add that on to the price and you get £1.32, which is 120% of the original value. It's the original value, add 20% on. I think I'll really quickly do this, okay? What we want to find out here is how often teenagers buy DVDs. Question 1, where do you live? Criticism of it down here, criticise question 1. It's quite personal, where do you live? And it's not relevant. It doesn't say, you know, where teenagers live who buy the DVDs. It just wants to know how often they're buying the DVDs, so therefore that is irrelevant and probably too personal. How often do you buy the DVD? How often do you buy DVDs? Where's my time frame? Should that say every week, every month, every year? And also things like 10 is there, and 10 appears in 2 groups. I call that overlapping groups. So I either say overlapping groups or no time scale. And what I've done down here is I've corrected that by saying how many DVDs would you buy each month? 0, 1 to 4, there's no overlap then, 5 to 9, no overlap 10 to 14, and my last group should always probably be a plus group, or say 15 or more, to allow anything more for those who buy a ridiculous amount of DVDs. End of video 1. Go back over it if you need to, have that booklet in front of you, and see you then for question 10 to the finish shortly. Bye bye.